keep it moving, and I am gonna blow up your spot one of these days.
Nicki Minaj just launched an all-out social media war against Jay-Z that might be the most explosive beef hip-hop has ever witnessed. The accusation? A $200 million robbery. Yeah, you heard that right. $200 million. Nicki claims Jay-Z finessed her out of the Tidal deal, took her money, and when she started asking questions, he allegedly used the entire Roc Nation machine to crush her, blackballed her career, blocked her projects, destroyed her opportunities. And here's the craziest part. Jay-Z hasn't said a single word. Complete radio silence. Zero response. No statement, no clarification, nothing. And that silence might be louder than anything he could have said. But Nicki didn't back down. She came with receipts. She came with allegations. And chill, absolutely zero. So what really happened here? What triggered this entire controversy? And why is Nicki Minaj so convinced that she got scammed out of $200 million? Let's break it down from the beginning.
First things first, let's talk about the bag. Because at the end of the day, money is what started this entire smoke session between Nicki and Hov. And when we say money, we're not talking about some small label dispute or a few $1,000s. We're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars. Straight up, no cap. To really understand where Nicki's coming from, you gotta rewind to 2015. That's the year Jay-Z launched Tidal, the streaming platform he was positioning as the artist-owned alternative to Spotify and Apple Music. The pitch was revolutionary. This was supposed to be a place where the creators actually ate from the table they built, where artists owned their content, where they controlled their destiny. And Jay brought in some of the biggest names in music to co-sign the whole vision. Beyonce, Rihanna, J. Cole, Kanye West, Madonna. And this part is critical. Nicki Minaj. Each artist was given a 3% equity stake in the company. In exchange, they were expected to push exclusive content, promote the platform to their fan bases, and ride or die for the vision. And Nicki? She did exactly that. She wasn't playing around. She was one of the most active promoters of Tidal, second probably only to Beyonce herself. She pushed it on the socials, she dropped exclusives, she showed up to that iconic launch event and posed with Usher, Rihanna, Madonna, and the rest of the squad. They looked like they were about to take over the entire music streaming industry. The energy in that room was real. These artists genuinely believed they were building something that would change the game forever. But here's where things go left. In 2021, Jay-Z sold the majority stake in Tidal to Jack Dorsey's company Square, now called Block, for roughly $297 million in cash and stock. That's a massive bag, a legendary payday. Now, if you do the math real quick on Nicki's 3% equity stake, she should have walked away with roughly $9 million, at the very minimum. That's just basic arithmetic, simple math. But according to Nicki Minaj, she didn't get a single red cent, not one penny. She claims Jay-Z's team offered her $1 million, just one lonely million, to basically keep her mouth shut and disappear. She called it a slap in the face, an insult, a straight-up robbery in broad daylight. On X, she put it plain for everybody to read. We've calculated about $100 to $200 million so far. Hashtag Jay-Z, call me to settle this karmic debt. It's only collecting more interest. You still in my top 5 though, let's get it. $100 to $200 million. That's what Nicki claims she's actually owed when you factor in her promotional value, her brand equity, and what she brought to the table. Now, the Breakfast Club crew had something to say about this, and they kept it a whole buck. They made a point that a lot of people in the culture were thinking but not saying out loud. If someone really owes you $200 million, why are you tweeting about it instead of filing in court? And that's a legitimate question.
I have no idea about their business, but if someone owed me $200 million, then I would be in court, not on X. And I guarantee you, if she ever took that to court, that would be a huge story.
And that's a legitimate question. As of right now, no lawsuit has been filed, no legal papers, no court dates, just tweets. But here's what's important, and people need to understand this. The tweets weren't random. Nicki didn't just throw accusations at the wall hoping something would stick. She laid out an entire indictment of Jay-Z's operation, piece by piece, brick by brick. She went on to accuse Jay-Z of ruining damn near everything the culture holds sacred. Hip-hop, football, basketball, touring, Instagram, Twitter. She literally tweeted, "Dear Jay-Z, you ruined hip-hop, you ruined football, you ruined basketball, you ruined touring, you ruined Instagram, you ruined Twitter. The jig is up." And then she added, and this is clever, all of this is alleged and for entertainment purposes only. Now, the Breakfast Club had a field day with that one.
The whole room was cracking up. They were joking like, might as well say Jay-Z invaded Gaza while you're at it. But underneath all the jokes and the memes, the Tidal money situation is dead serious.
Hashtag Jay-Z, you ruined hip-hop, you ruined football, you ruined basketball, you ruined touring, you ruined Instagram, you ruined Twitter. The jig is up. All of this is alleged and for entertainment purposes only. And she also is saying, she's mentioning Desiree, who is one of Jay-Z's.
You might as well say Jay-Z's the head of Doge. Jay-Z invaded Gaza. You might as well just come on, add some more to that, Nick.
Think about it. If Nicki Minaj was legitimately a 3% equity holder in a company that sold for $297 million, and she got lowballed with a $1 million hush offer when the real number should have been closer to $9 million at minimum, and she's saying the actual number is far higher when you factor in promotional value and brand equity, then that's not just a problem. That ain't a miscommunication between colleagues. That's getting finessed on a corporate level. And in the streets, that's a violation. But here's where it gets even deeper. Nicki said that once she finally gets that money from Jay-Z, she plans to use it for her Student of the Game charity, a fund dedicated to paying her fans tuition and student loans. So in her mind, Jay-Z isn't just stealing from her, he's stealing from the Bargs. He's stealing from students who need that money to get their education. That framing hit different. It turned a business dispute into a cause. And the Tidal situation, that wasn't even the only thing that had Nicki's blood boiling.
Let's talk about the Super Bowl. In September 2024, the NFL announced that Kendrick Lamar would headline the Super Bowl LIX halftime show in New Orleans. Now, for anyone who has even a passing familiarity with hip-hop culture, that announcement was a gut punch to one specific individual, Lil Wayne. Wayne is New Orleans, born and raised. He's the heartbeat, the pulse, the living legend of that city. He's one of the 5 greatest rappers to ever grip a microphone. And the Super Bowl was literally in his backyard. Everybody, and I mean everybody in the culture, assumed Wayne was getting that slot. It felt like a done deal, a foregone conclusion. Wayne in New Orleans at the Super Bowl, that writes itself. But here's the problem. Roc Nation co-produces the Apple Music NFL halftime show. Jay-Z's fingerprints are all over that decision-making process. And when Kendrick's name dropped instead of Wayne's, the streets had questions. Nicki went nuclear. She posted an entire tirade directly at Jay-Z on X, denying a young black man what he rightfully put into this game for no other reason but your ego. Your hatred for Birdman, Drake, and Nicki got you punishing Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne the GOAT. Nola, what's good? She even brought up Eminem, saying Eminem stood firm on having 50 Cent come out, a white man. That line cut like a razor. She was basically saying a white artist showed more loyalty and more backbone for his day ones than Jay-Z showed to his own people, his own community, his own culture. Whether you agree with Nicki or not, that bar landed. Wayne not getting that Super Bowl slot in his own city rubbed a lot of folks the wrong way. Not just the Barbs, hood legends, industry vets, casual fans, everybody had something to say about it. And Nicki framed the whole thing as evidence of a bigger pattern. She believes Jay-Z is deliberately using his Roc Nation power and influence to freeze out anyone connected to her circle. Wayne, Drake, Birdman, and herself. The Super Bowl snub was the most visible, most public example, and it set the stage for everything that came crashing down after. From Monsterverse to modern warfare. Now, here's the critical piece that a lot of people miss when they see Nicki going at Jay-Z on social media. This ain't some random Twitter beef between two strangers who never met. These two got history. Deep, layered, complicated history that goes back over 15 years. And understanding that history is exactly what makes the current fallout hit so much harder and feel so much more personal. Rewind to 2009. Kanye West drops Monster, and the feature list is absolutely stacked. Jay-Z, Rick Ross, Bon Iver, and a young Nicki Minaj who was still building her buzz on the mixtape circuit. But when that track hit the streets, it wasn't Jay-Z or Rick Ross that had everybody losing their minds. It was Nicki. She obliterated that beat, consumed it whole. Her verse on Monster is still widely considered one of the greatest guest appearances in the entire history of hip-hop, and it announced to the world that this woman was not here to play second fiddle to anybody, not even Hove himself. Jay-Z clearly recognized her talent early on, before she blew up to mainstream superstardom. He tried to sign her to Roc Nation. He saw the potential, he saw the star power, he wanted her on his roster. But Nicki chose loyalty over clout. She went with Lil Wayne and Young Money instead. She stuck with the people who discovered her, nurtured her, and gave her a shot when nobody else would. Some industry insiders speculate that decision, choosing Wayne over Jay, planted the very first seed of tension between Nicki and Hove.
a seed that would take years to sprout, but would eventually grow into the massive oak tree of conflict we're witnessing today. But even after she turned down the Roc Nation deal, Jay-Z kept showing love. He wasn't petty about it, at least not publicly. In 2010, he personally recommended Nicki for Robin Thicke's track Shakin' It for Daddy, which she later described as one of the most exciting cosigns of her early career. That same year, she performed alongside Jay-Z and Eminem at Yankee Stadium for the legendary Home and Home concert series. She became the first female rapper in history to perform on that iconic stage. That's a milestone that belongs in the history books, and Jay-Z gave her that platform. In interviews during that era, Nicki spoke about Jay-Z with genuine reverence and admiration. When asked about her biggest influences coming up, she named him first, without hesitation.
Now, you've also said that Jay-Z, Foxy Brown, and Lil Wayne were some of your biggest influences when you were coming up. What did each of them have that you wanted to emulate?
Jay-Z, business savvy. Foxy Brown, immaculate delivery. Lil Wayne, trendsetter.
Business savvy. That's what she admired most about Jay-Z. Not just his bars, his mind, his ability to turn rapping into an empire. She saw him as the blueprint, pun absolutely intended, for how a rapper from the projects could become a billionaire mogul without ever losing credibility in the streets. She was so inspired by his trajectory that she modeled her 2014 album, The Pink Print, after his legendary Blueprint series. That's not subtle. That's not coincidence. That's a direct, intentional homage from someone who genuinely looked up to the man and wanted to walk the same path he carved. Fast forward through the years, and the relationship maintained a consistent veneer of mutual respect and professionalism. In 2012, they were seated together at the BET Awards, separated only by Kanye West and Kim Kardashian. VIP section energy, inner circle vibes. In 2015, they stood side by side at the Tidal launch event, presenting a united front for artist empowerment and ownership. And as recently as 2022, Jay-Z and Beyoncé sent congratulatory flowers when Nicki received her MTV Video Vanguard Award. Nicki publicly thanked them for the gesture. That was the relationship. Cordial, warm on the surface, marked by occasional generosity and professional courtesies. So what happened? What turned admiration into animosity? What transformed a protege's respect into a full-blown scorched earth social media campaign? The fractures started becoming visible around 2021, right when that title sale went through and the checks didn't land where Nicki believed they should. That's when she first started hinting publicly that she felt cheated out of her fair share. By September 2024, those coded hints turned into full-blown accusations directed squarely at Jay-Z and his entire operation. And by July 2025, she was tweeting exact dollar amounts. 100 million, 200 million, naming names, tagging people, daring anyone to challenge her publicly. But it evolved beyond the money. Nicki started targeting Roc Nation CEO Desiree Perez directly, nicknaming her Desirat, and questioning everything from her Trump pardon on narcotics charges to her qualifications to run one of the most powerful management companies in entertainment. Nicki accused Roc Nation of blackballing artists who didn't fall in line, stealing talent from rival labels through shady recruitment tactics, deploying bot armies to suppress her engagement metrics online, manipulating Billboard chart data behind the scenes. She claimed they sabotaged her documentary because she addressed the abuse she suffered in the industry. She said they deliberately stalled her projects in hopes she'd hemorrhage money and eventually come crawling back begging for help. These are not minor accusations. These are allegations of systematic, coordinated career destruction. DJ Academics broke the situation down on the show and highlighted just how deep and relentlessly one-sided this public feud had become.
Nicki is launching a piggyback attack on Jay, and we all know, if you haven't, to refresh your memory about why she doesn't like Jay, she claims that Jay, finessed her with the title situation. She also made a claim that Jay-Z owes Nicki Minaj $200 million, right? Now, if you watched her tweets over the last year or so, especially after she's also attacked Jay-Z's company's Roc Nation CEO, Desiree Perez, she's basically accused them of really doing some heinous things or trying to do some heinous things to her. So this is a really deep public feud at this point. Jay-Z's never acknowledged it.
And that last observation from Academics is absolutely critical. Jay-Z has never acknowledged a single word of it. Not one tweet, not a formal statement through Roc Nation's communications team, not a subliminal bar buried in a verse, not even a vague Instagram story. Complete and total radio silence. Zero engagement. Now, some people interpret that silence as Hove being above the noise, maintaining his composure, staying boss level, refusing to legitimize the chaos by responding to it. That's one reading. But others, and Nicki is firmly in this camp,
Interpret that silence as confirmation. The logic goes like this. If someone is publicly accusing you of owing them $200 million and you don't even bother to deny it, what exactly does that tell the streets? Either you're so supremely confident the claims are baseless that they don't warrant your oxygen, or you know there's enough truth buried in those accusations that any response would only dig the hole deeper and invite discovery. The trajectory of their relationship reads like a hip-hop Shakespearean tragedy. From admiration to collaboration to mutual benefit to absolute unrestrained scorched earth warfare. And the silence from Jay-Z's camp? Somehow, some way, that silence might be the loudest sound in this entire saga.
The Grammy meltdown, the political pivot, and where this goes from here. If you thought the title money claims and the Super Bowl rant represented peak Nicki Minaj versus Jay-Z, I need you to strap in tight. Because what happened during the 2026 Grammy Awards was an entirely different stratosphere of chaos. This was no longer just a hip-hop industry beef playing out on timelines. This was a full-blown cultural earthquake, and Nicki Minaj was standing right at the epicenter. Phone in one hand, conviction in her heart, and absolutely zero regrets in the other. February 1st, 2026, the 68th Annual Grammy Awards, Crypto.com Arena, Los Angeles. Every major artist in the industry was in that building. Beyoncé, Taylor Swift, Drake, Kendrick, The Weeknd, everyone. Nicki Minaj was not. She wasn't nominated, she wasn't performing, she wasn't presenting. She was completely absent from the ceremony. But here's the thing that'll blow your mind. She was, without a shadow of a doubt, the single most discussed, most dissected, most searched person on the entire internet that night. Google Trends confirmed it. Nicki Minaj was the most searched artist during the broadcast, despite never setting foot inside the arena. Let that sink in. The biggest night in music, every A-lister in attendance, and the person dominating the conversation, the one who wasn't there. It all kicked off when host Trevor Noah took a deliberate, calculated shot at Nicki during the opening monologue, with the cream of the music industry sitting right in front of him under those bright arena lights. Cameras rolling live, Noah went in.
Man, every single person here, John Legend, Billie Eilish, Phineas, Nicki Minaj is not here. She is not here.
Thumbs up happened.
She is still at the White House with Donald Trump discussing very important issues. Actually, Nicki, I have the biggest ass. I have it. Everybody's saying it, Nicki. I know they say it's you, but it's me. Wop, wop, wop. Look at it, baby.
The cameras caught Chrissy Teigen throwing her head back laughing, John Legend grinning from ear to ear, the entire audience eating it up like dessert at a banquet. The vibe in that room was unmistakable. The industry was collectively clowning Nicki for her political turn. And Nicki? She was watching the whole thing unfold in real time from wherever she was, and she responded with a ferocity, a velocity, and a volume of social media content that hip-hop has genuinely never witnessed before. What followed was one of the most prolific, unfiltered, wide-ranging, and breathtakingly confrontational social media onslaughts any public figure in entertainment has ever unleashed. While the Grammy broadcast was still airing live on national television, Nicki flooded her X timeline with dozens upon dozens of posts, hitting targets in every direction like a verbal Gatling gun. She went after Trevor Noah. She went after Chrissy Teigen with deeply personal accusations. She went after Lizzo with ruthless comments about weight loss, album sales, and legal troubles. She went after the entire Democratic Party, calling them demon rats. And of course, inevitably, relentlessly, she went after Jay-Z harder, meaner, and more personally than she ever had before. She tweeted, "Are y'all understanding that these people have been sacrificing children as a way of gaining and maintaining power? If you ever vote Democrat again, you're just as soulless as they are and will perish." She also posted, "Your favorite artist has been practicing rituals in a satanic cult where they take babies from other countries and mutilate and kill them as a form of a blood sacrifice to their god. You see, when your master is Satan, you must constantly shed blood. However, the jig is up." She also wrote, "They sabotaged my documentary because I spoke about abuse that I suffered. They've been trying to stall all my projects in hopes that I lose a bunch of money and beg them for help. Their leaders still think it's a joke. The destruction that's about to come down on them isn't funny." That's heavy. Real heavy. Those are not standard hip-hop beef accusations. Those are allegations that venture into territory far beyond music industry politics. And to be absolutely clear with you, the viewer, none of these specific claims have been substantiated by any credible investigation, court filing, or law enforcement inquiry. There is no evidence to support them. But what they do represent, undeniably, is the complete and irreversible breakdown of whatever professional relationship, mutual respect, or personal connection Nicki Minaj and Jay-Z once shared.
This isn't someone who's merely upset about a business deal anymore. This is someone who feels like she went to war with an entire apparatus of industry power and decided, consciously, deliberately, to burn every bridge, every connection, and every courtesy on the way out the door. Now, the Grammy meltdown didn't materialize out of nowhere. It came after months, arguably years, of Nicki's increasingly vocal alignment with Donald Trump in conservative political circles.
And this is the political transformation that explains why the backlash has exploded to such catastrophic levels. December 2025, Turning Point USA's America Fest. Nicki took the stage and delivered a passionate address focusing on her faith in Christianity, her steadfast support for President Trump, her anger at being targeted and censored by Hollywood's power structure, and the critical need for younger generations to develop the strength and independence to form their own opinions. Her words? He's done something, and I'm not sure he's even aware of it, but he's given countless people belief that it's possible to defeat the corrupt forces and triumph while maintaining your dignity and moral character. He's a native of Queens, New York, just like myself. What it's demonstrated to me on a personal level is that during your darkest moments, when you're convinced recovery is impossible, you actually bounce back. Our president exemplifies that truth. He's endured everything imaginable in the public eye, being subjected to constant lies and defamation. It's easy to joke about until you're actually the target of those lies.
He has, I don't know if he even knows this, but he's given so many people hope that there's a chance to beat the bad guys and to win and to do it with your head held high and your integrity intact. He's from Queens, New York, like me. So, but what it's shown me personally is sometimes, you know, even in the worst feeling times in your life, you think that you're never gonna come back from it, but you do. And our president shows that. He's been through every single thing a person could be through publicly, having to constantly be lied on. It's not really that funny until you are in that person's shoes that's being lied on.
By January 2026, she doubled down. She joined Trump at a Treasury summit introducing Trump Accounts, an IRA initiative for kids. On stage, she gripped the president's hand, declared herself his biggest supporter, waved a golden Trump card, announced her citizenship application was in process. During a podcast with Katie Miller, Stephen Miller's spouse, Nicki drew parallels between Trump's public persecution and her own industry battles. The connection felt unavoidable and intimate to her. "The hatred I get for backing him just pushes me to back him harder," she stated. The response was swift, brutal, and overwhelming. Deportation petitions collected 120,000 plus signatures in mere days. Her LGBTQ+ base, critical to her success, and a loyal segment of her fan base, felt deeply betrayed. Longtime fans claimed she'd abandoned the exact people who championed her through every scandal. Stars like Ariana Grande distanced themselves. Industry colleagues stopped communicating. The Grammy explosion, filled with wild conspiracy claims, vicious personal assaults, and inflammatory political language, crystallized Nicki Minaj's 2026 image. Yet here's what superficial social media commentary overlooks. This political transformation wasn't sudden, not accidental, not spontaneous. She'd felt progressively rejected by mainstream music for years. The Tidal financial betrayal, one scar. Wayne's Super Bowl rejection, another. Ongoing battles with Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion, both clearly tied to Roc Nation, intensified the conflict. The constant sense that media, blogs, and platforms boosted her rivals while burying her story pushed her from the establishment's core. When that establishment reads overwhelmingly as progressive Hollywood elite, the natural alternative becomes conservative circles welcoming those cast out. That's the conversion pathway. Love it or hate it, that's the personal and professional journey that shaped Nicki Minaj's current position.
DJ Academics offered a sharp insight on his program regarding the repeating cycle that consistently lands artists like Nicki and Kanye in these identical situations.
And what's really happened is that people like Nicki Minaj and also Kanye West, they seem like they were a little bit cuckoo. And I ain't gonna lie, people called them flat out crazy. They're now starting to look like they were trying to warn us of some things.
Academics also posed a question that everyone who's been tracking this controversy should genuinely reflect on and think through seriously. If Roc Nation has traditionally been swift to pursue lawsuits against content creators and analysts who level accusations they disapprove of, and they've openly backed Megan Thee Stallion throughout her multiple court battles, then why in the world haven't they taken legal action against Nicki Minaj for the extremely precise, extremely visible, extremely destructive monetary and career-related allegations she's been consistently making for more than 12 months?
I'm wondering why Roc Nation don't sue Nicki. If you know, they're quick to kind of support Meg and sue a blogger who doesn't have anything. Why not sue Nicki? That's kind of odd. I'm not saying they should, but I'm just saying, you know, usually when they're not suing, it's like they kind of know they don't have a case, which means maybe you have some type of point that you've made.
That inquiry hovers in the atmosphere like smoke drifting after flames extinguish. It doesn't validate Nicki's allegations are factual, but it presents a valid, troubling concern about why the planet's most dominant entertainment management corporation is deliberately allowing these charges to remain entirely uncontested in public conversation. When everything's considered, this conflict between Nicki Minaj and Jay-Z transcends far beyond social posts, jokes, and online responses. It's about cash. Potentially hundreds of millions in currency that Nicki genuinely believes she was swindled from through corporate scheming and intentional undervaluation of her input. It's about influence. Who shapes the story? Who dictates the opportunities? Who earns spots on the premier platforms? And who gets systematically excluded? It's about allegiance, or the crushing lack of it, between two individuals who previously aligned on identical objectives and are presently divided by an abyss of bitterness, doubt, and shattered faith. And fundamentally, it's about the consequences when someone who was formerly embedded within the exclusive sphere gets expelled to the periphery and resolves to expose everything, to the entire planet, unfiltered, without caveats, without remorse, precisely what she witnessed behind those doors. Nicki hasn't finished speaking, nowhere close. She declared she refuses to drop another record until her agreement gets renegotiated under her conditions. She promised she's preparing revelations approaching that will jettison the complete business. She warned the devastation that's approaching for them won't be amusing. Whether you're backing Nicki or supporting Hav, one reality stands unmistakable. This drama remains nowhere near concluded. It's continuously developing in live time daily with each fresh update. And Jay-Z's continuous, relentless, almost supernatural quietness, that could represent the most thunderous, most overwhelming element throughout this whole narrative. That concludes this presentation. For additional compelling content similar to this, select the suggestions displayed on your monitor. Drop your thoughts below. Is Nicki exposing truth or spiraling? Smash that like button, subscribe for more deep dives, and hit the bell icon. Share this breakdown everywhere, because when the next chapter drops, you'll want to be ready. Stay informed. Peace.